All right, Avengers fans, welcome back to another episode of Assemble. My name is High Ruler, and today I am pleased and honored to welcome Andy, the community manager and social media manager for Avengers, onto the show. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Just getting ready for the holidays and everything, and just trying to end the year in a really high point. So it's great to even be on here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, well, no, thank you. So, speaking of holidays, have you gotten all your shopping done? Have you gotten all your Christmas gifts? What's going on with that?
So I did actually get all my shopping done last week. It's all on Amazon. I mean, there's
Yep,
really no other way to do it right now. Yeah, I might be able to go out, but I don't really feel safe doing it. So
yep.
I got all my Christmas gifts done. I don't know when or how we're gonna do any of our friends or family or anything get-togethers at all. Maybe it's just over Zoom and we mail each other things. Haven't figured that out yet, but got all my gifts at least bought.
Well, you know what? Well, that's actually a great idea because I know that's what my family was gonna do. Is we were just gonna put people up on like the TV, and we were just gonna like put the like
Uh-huh.
we were gonna like still lives pretty close in my family, so we could drop the gifts off. And then when it comes to Christmas Day, just throw someone up on the TV and just open the presents and kind of do it that way, which is, that's probably the safest way to do it, this year. Just you still kind of get that nice feeling of like giving gifts, but you still get that safety of like you're in your own home and I'm in my own home and I don't have to like interact with you or anything. Like that's probably like the best way to do it. I've seen a lot of people do that recently actually. With like Secret Santas and stuff. I don't know if you guys have done like Secret Santas in the office, but I know, I've seen a lot of my friends do like Secret Santas and like all sorts of crazy stuff. Just with the power of Zoom and Discord and Slack, and it's crazy like how far we've come and how easy things can be when you really want to try to make things work, right?
Yeah, it's the power of the internet, and I think we've all just gotten like used to it too. Because initially it was a big change of everything online and everything remote, but now I feel like, I mean, at least for me, I'm more used to it than I ever thought I would be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Like, everything takes a while. Like, it's like first day of school, first day of work. It's like first day of everything all over again, right? You eventually figure it out, and you eventually kind of find your pattern and find your place. But it does take, a few stumbling steps, I'll say. But eventually, you kind of hit your stride, and it's good to hear that you found your stride and everything's kind of worked out for you in that regard. So kind of what I love to do at the first part of an episode like this is I'd love to kind of give you a chance to introduce yourself. I'm sure people know you. And are familiar with you. I would hope so. But for people who may not, or may not be as engaged as some others, I'd love to give you the opportunity to kind of just introduce yourself to the people, and we'll just kind of, I won't say a deep dive, but we'll definitely talk about you as a person and everything about you. But please introduce yourself to the people who may not know you.
Yeah, sure. So, like Jonathan said, I'm Andy. I'm a community and social media manager at Crystal Dynamics, working on Avengers. And this is interesting because I'm not used to talking about myself at all. I'm always used to talking about like the games I work on or like the brands I work on. So
Right,
it's
right.
going to be a challenge for even me. I do pretty much everything that you think a community manager does. I'm only one person as part of the team, so we have a few people on the team, and we all do something different, but also just kind of overlapping and everything. But I am the person people mostly see. That's probably because just I play the game a lot. I am a huge Marvel nerd, and it's just something that I like doing. So yeah, that's me in
Okay,
a
no,
nutshell.
okay. I mean, we'll take a little deeper. We'll take a little deeper.
Yeah, you
So,
can think deeper.
so one of the
You
things,
can tell.
yeah, I got this. So one of the things
You
I,
can tell I'm uncomfortable talking about myself, but
oh,
I'm gonna try and do it.
that's all right. We'll get you free flowing in a second here. So one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you was I really wanted to kind of not put you in the limelight or the spotlight but I wanted to kind of give people an idea into who you are, because when people interact with a dev, or when people interact with the Twitter account, sometimes it could be like a faceless void behind that, right? You
Yeah.
don't really know the individual. So my idea was to bring you on and kind of talk about, first and foremost, like who you are, right? Getting to know Andy, and then obviously, I'm sure there's lots of people out there who kind of see the role community manager, but they don't really know the kind of work that may go into it, right? They see you
Yeah.
on Twitter, they see you on Twitch, but what is kind of the behind the scenes kind of stuff that goes on, and then we'll get into the fun Avengers stuff, and we'll kind of go some stuff there. But just kind of that first talking point, that first point I want to touch on is like, who is Andy, right? So like, I'd love to know, like, I've seen you tweet about Cyberpunk. I'd love to get your thoughts on Cyberpunk. I have some hot takes about Cyberpunk. Like, and I've seen you play some Overwatch, and I'd love to kind of touch on some other games you play outside of Avengers, and kind of what you do in your free time to kind of separate working in the game industry from just enjoying the game industry itself, right? So yeah, I'd love to kind of just start there if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I am playing Cyberpunk right now. I haven't touched it in a while. There's the whole Cyberpunk debacle going on right now, and it's an interesting one. There's like so much that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't work at CD Projekt Red, so I don't completely know everything that's going on behind there, but I don't envy them in any way, because I'm sure this is just a bad situation overall for them and for the players and for everything. And yeah, but I am actually enjoying it from what I'm playing. I'm a big open world RPG player. That's like, if one comes out, an open world RPG game, you bet I'm gonna hop on it. I don't care like what anyone says, I'm hopping on it. So I am loving that so far. Yeah, there's issues, but every game has its issues too.
Right.
Yeah, Overwatch. I've been playing that since, when did it come out? Like
2016? Am I correct on that? It might be.
Oh my god.
Let me
Well,
let me fact check real quick.
yeah,
2016. Yep. Ooh, there you
oh,
go.
wow. Okay, I've been playing that since 2016 then. So like for over 4 years straight, I love it. I still have friends who play it, so I play with them, and it's just nice to hop on sometimes, even for like 10 minutes, and to do like a Mystery Heroes match or whatever,
Right.
and then just go back to doing what I was doing before. But I'm not even great at shooters, I would say. But I don't think that matters
I
as
mean,
much.
you're just being modest, man. We were talking before, and you're saying you're going to the Overwatch League. So I mean, you could
Yeah,
totally be
yeah,
honest with the audience here and say that you're going pro, man. I say it all the
yeah. I'm
time.
going pro,
There you go. You just gotta.
number one.
There you go, man. I do it all the time. I tell people I'm going pro all the time, and my mother laughs at me for it. But you know what? You got to keep the dream alive somehow, right? Um,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
so speaking on Cyberpunk, I've been playing it myself a little bit too. And one of the things I've been finding is that the story really grips you in. I'm playing the Corpo kind of storyline, and I think I'm like
Same
4 hours in. And what I'm finding, I don't know what your thoughts on it, but the story just really grips you, and I'm really invested into the characters, and I'm not going to spoil some early stuff that happens for people who haven't picked it up yet. But there's like a certain scene that's very early on, and you kind of just like your heart just rips out, or mine did when this scene happened, and I'm like, oh no. Like I was just like, it's such a good story that they're telling, and it's unfortunate that there's so many things surrounding the story, with the issues that are taking place, because I find that I'm really enjoying the game, but there's so much going on that I'm just like, sometimes I'm taken out of the story and out of the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with you. The story so far is what's keeping me going. I mean, I'm off doing my own thing right now,
Yeah.
just because it's an open world game. I just want to explore. But I was pleasantly surprised at how much the story just grips you in, because I wasn't honestly expecting it. I think the performances are great, and it's something that I'm looking forward to just getting into over the holidays when I have time.
Right. So you said you're a big fan of open world RPGs. What was your favorite one before Cyberpunk?
Oh man,
Ooh, I just put you on the spot there, didn't I?
you did. I So I'm just gonna say Skyrim. Oh, all right. For this, I'll say Skyrim. I'm just gonna say it.
Okay.
But no one write that down. No one put that anywhere. That's my answer for today.
Oh, so this
It's
changes. So
Skyrim.
so so they could totally come up to a dev stream and ask you, and your answer could totally be different.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
It's
okay.
probably not going to be Skyrim that day. I'm not writing it down, so
So no one else write
it,
it down. No one bring this up again because the answer will be totally different. Could be a totally different open world game tomorrow, for example.
yeah, everyone forget I even said that. Like, forget the next 10 seconds of me talking about Skyrim, because it's going to change.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, it's funny you ask that, or sorry, it's funny you say that because as someone who's never played Skyrim, I don't know what the selling point is. So, like, what is the selling point of Skyrim, if you don't mind me
Man,
asking?
this is difficult, and this is why I was like, I hesitated with Skyrim because I'm thinking of back end now, like how like that game came out like probably 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think about like 10 years ago, Andy, why did I like it so much? And I think part of it is because at that time it was just so expansive. There's so much to do. There was interconnecting and like twisting stories and a lot of just customization available that I'm sure there was available in other games, but that was like a really big game that it was available in. And I think to me, it was the first game that gave me like a sense of like otherworldliness, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah. No, that
it's
makes
it's
sense.
massive, it's big. Like I can't believe is even a game. If I played it now, I probably wouldn't. It might not be up there in terms of my favorite games, but it is the nostalgia factor and just what it was at the time to me that made me love it so much. I mean, it's fantasy and RPG, so that's like all me.
No, that's fair. So I'm guessing you're looking forward to the next Elder Scrolls then when it comes out in 2030, 2035, I
Yeah,
guess.
maybe 2060,
Okay.
2077, 2077.
2077. Okay, so you'll just barely be able to play the game. Hands may be a little kind of frail, but you'll do your best at it at that point.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I think that's all we can all just hope for. That what is that, like 57 years in the future? I think I hopefully still be alive.
Hopefully, that's all we can hope for at that point, right? We can
Yeah,
all hope for that we're still kicking around. Okay,
yeah.
fair. So switching gears a little bit, one of the things recently I saw on your Twitter, and obviously for people who don't know, I do my homework here on the Assemble channel. So your profile picture on Twitter is in Paris, right? It's in front of what's the name of that place again?
Is it? Oh yeah, the Louvre. Yeah.
Yeah, the Louvre. Yeah. And then you recently tweeted about wanting to move to Japan. So one of the things I love to talk to people about is kind of their favorite places that they traveled before COVID, and then kind of where their first destination is to after COVID. Because I have my vacation already planned out. But
Do you?
oh yeah, I do. I'm going to the Caribbean. I'm gonna sit on a beach with lots of alcoholic drinks, and I'm gonna forget that I exist for about a week 10 days. So
Hell yeah.
personally, that's where I'm going. But I would love to kind of hear what your plans are for traveling. Is that Japan thing going to be a reality? Walk me through that. Walk me through post COVID Andy.
Post COVID, Andy. So I love traveling. It's something that I just like doing, just different cultures, different. I love doing the touristy stuff too. No
Yep.
shame on my part. I will say I will do all the touristy things, all the touristy traps
Nothing wrong
because
with that, man. Nothing wrong with
something
that.
that and I love more than anything else art museums. That's why
Okay.
the Louvre and everything. I spent like an entire day there. I'm big on like just fine art in general. So any art museums at all, I'm going to go there. And you can see my map is actually up here. Of it's one of those scratchy things of where I've been.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, it's nice just to think about. And like even like the year prior to this, yeah, I went to like 7 different countries. But I mean, a lot of that was for work, so I
Right.
didn't really get to experience and explore. But it was just good either way. But I'm like rambling on. Post
No,
COVID, Andy.
please. Yeah, no, please. Ramble.
So I had a trip to Ireland planned that was supposed to happen 2 months ago. Obviously, that didn't happen. So that's being postponed to 1 year. Hopefully, maybe things are going to get a little better in October of next year. We can only hope.
Yep.
So definitely Ireland is on there in terms of any personal travel. And I'm super excited. I love Guinness. So
Oh, I
on
mean,
Ireland.
there you go. I was gonna ask. I was literally gonna ask what's the draw to Ireland, but then you just go and answer the question before I can even ask it. But in all seriousness, is there something that draws you to Ireland specifically?
I'll be very honest and say that I'm going with a few friends, and they wanted to go
Okay.
to Ireland.
Okay. That's
I
fair.
yeah, I said Spain, and they go on with
Ooh.
Ireland. I have no problem with Ireland. I heard it's beautiful, it's green, and I'm apparently going to be the driver, and it's on the other side of the road, so I'm kind of freaking out. I'm not even kind of freaking out. I'm really freaking out. I'm not used to driving on that side of the road. But that's my honest answer. I am excited though for Ireland. So, I haven't been there. If anyone has any recommendations, let me know.
Exactly. There you go. It's funny you mentioned Spain because Spain was on my short list of places where I wanted to
Oh,
go because I've never been to Europe. So I've only been to
oh,
the United States and then I've been to Jamaica. So Europe has always
wow.
been kind of one of these like places that I want to go. And Spain was actually, I had a Google tracker, like a Google flight tracker. And at one point from Toronto to Barcelona and back, it was like $500 for next year. And I was like, do I just buy it with some
That's
insurance? It just
cheap.
yeah. And I was thinking about it. I was like, if I buy it with insurance, I can just sit on it, and if it gets better, I have a dirt cheap trip to Spain. If it doesn't work out, well, I got insurance anyways, so we'll just kind of wrap it up there. And now I didn't do it, and now I'm looking at the prices. They're like $1,100, $1,200, and I'm like,
Oh,
I'm like I really played myself on that one. Like it was brutal.
uh, hey, there's more opportunities,
Oh,
right? It's
I would hope so because
I would hope so.
Spain looks absolutely phenomenal. Has that been one of the places you've gone to yet, or is that just on the list?
No, so before even starting at Crystal, I had not. I was like you. I had not gone to Europe. Period. My first trip to Europe was for Gamescom in Germany, so it's nice to be able to do that. But I've not been to Spain, uh, and that's just some place that everyone tells me is just gorgeous and beautiful, and the food is amazing, and the people are super nice. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just at the top of my list,
Oh
basically.
man. All right. So that's it. Spain 2022. That's it. That's the goal apparently. I should probably rearrange my my Caribbean trip to a Spain trip, I guess then. Um so one of the last key points I want to talk to you about in this trip down, getting to know Andy, was you do mention to wanted to be an author. Now I'm going to be honest with you. You might be the only person I've ever come into contact with that wants to be an author in 2020, um, which is interesting because it's not really one of those things that when I talk to people, it's not really on the list of professions or list of like hobbies or or even a passion project that people want to attempt. So what about it is something that you look at and like I want to be an author? What kind of drives you towards that?
So I've always liked storytelling, even just from when I was a kid, and it's just something that's kept up with me even now. And there's multiple ways to storytell, whether it's through video games or through movies or through writing and reading. And it just so happens that I love reading. It's just something that I think I probably discovered more in high school. Before that, I hated reading, as most kids do.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, but it was just something clicked one day, and it wasn't something. It was a specific teacher, my English teacher, just explained literature, writing, and everything in a way that just really hit me. And she just was able to get some sort of writer out of me, which I didn't know what was, that I didn't know existed.
Right.
And from there, I loved writing, I loved reading. The storytelling is amazing, and it's just a way to that's different from like a film or a video game in that you can get into someone's head because did take like some screenwriting classes or whatever in college, and the difference there is that you're writing but based off of what people can only see, but if you're reading, then you can get people's thoughts and what they're actually thinking on a
Right.
page as well. So that's what really stood out to me, and it's something that I still want to do. I'm doing it right now. I mean, I obviously have a day job, which is which is super super important, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But yeah, as a personal project, being an author is something that I've just always wanted to do.
So, what kind of touching on that point, what kind of stories really grab you in then, or what kind of genres really grab you in? And then on the flip side of that, what kind of stories do you want to write in the future, or even the one you're writing now?
So, as a big sci-fi fantasy geek, uh, I read a lot of sci-fi fantasy. It's the story building. I think for me, it's even the world building that can it's so like easily achievable on paper.
Yep.
So I read a lot of those, and in that same vein, I would write a lot of. Right now, I'm writing like a sci-fi book basically. Uh, I don't really I haven't found a good way to explain it yet, so I'm not going to do it. But it's a sci-fi thing, and it's about just like what it's really it's like a crime mystery
Okay.
thing.
Okay. So like a sci-fi crime kind of story then.
Yeah. It's I have the first draft done. I'm just working on editing it, and my amazing coworkers at Crystal have like offered to be like beta readers and everything. So that's they know that this is a dream of mine, and they're trying to help me achieve it. So that's just something that I and I've never thought that would happen. So it's great. And in terms of just like, I mean, I don't only read sci-fi fantasy. There's other books out there where I just read because I feel like I need to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the most like beautifully written book I think I've ever read is Call Me by Your Name. It turned into a movie like a few years ago, and I only read it because apparently like you had to read it because the writing was so beautiful. And I don't read romance novels at all,
Mm-hmm.
other than ones that like they forced you to read in school.
Right.
So this is one that I was like, no, let's just do it. Let's read it. It's super short, so why not? And it was like to me a masterclass in just writing and prose. And I know this is like super boring to everyone, but I'm just nerding out right now.
No,
So
please. Yeah. No.
all
Please, please,
I
please.
talk about literature and and all that stuff. Uh, but yeah, that book will forever just be in my mind just of how beautifully written it was. And it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's I guess some people, yeah, people call it like, I don't know, like a gay romance, but to me it's
Right.
like more of a coming of age story more than anything else, and
Okay.
just like what that means to someone that's not me.
Right. No, for sure, for sure. Well, it's funny you started kind of segueing into like my next point because I was gonna ask you, what no, it's totally cool. It's totally cool because I was gonna ask you, what kind of books do you recommend? For people who may be into those coming of age stories or those sci-fi stories, or even for someone who doesn't really do a lot of reading currently, what would you recommend to all those groups of people? So I'm sure those three categories could touch on a lot of people who may come across this video.
Yeah, so Call Me by Your Name definitely for like if you want just good writing and a coming of age story. For sci-fi fantasy, I feel like a really good. I mean, I'm not going to mention the obvious ones. I feel like most people will have known or read like Harry Potter or like Game of
Right.
Thrones. Those are still great. Like Game of Thrones, still one of my favorites, but I feel like that's so big now that I don't really need to mention it.
Right.
Um, I really like the I really like a book called Six of Crows. It's it's a fantasy, and it's a really easy read, but it's also very much about world building. It's about like a thief, and he's trying to go on a heist, and he just collects all these different eclectic people, just as a heist would go, but it's set in like a fantasy world. And super easy read, super fun. And like they all just start bickering and everything, and there's twists and turns, but it's dark, it's grisly, but it is still uh really digestible, I guess is the right word, because
Okay.
books are um, daunting, even for me right now. Uh, I'm like on, and I will say the Mistborn series is what I'm currently reading. There's 3 books. I'm on the third one. If you want something big and epic and fantasy, then yeah, the Mistborn series is great, but it is like 1,000 pages per book, and even I'm just like, all right, I need to take a break right now because this is a lot. But yeah, a good entryway is Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, uh, what else is a good entryway? Never. Okay, I was gonna say something, but no, I'm not.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay, change agent is a good one too, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's a little uh a lot into like super sciencey genetic stuff, but it's
Okay.
worth the read, and just that it at least is a good. It's an easy read.
Okay. All right. Fair.
Yeah.
One of the things that I personally have issues with, and it's funny because I talk about this a lot, is I find myself really zoning out of things. I could be super into something, and then the next day I could be super out of something. So, when it comes to like books or stuff you're interested in, how do you find yourself kind of? Is it the story that kind of brings you back, or is it kind of the drive to know more? Like, what kind of drives you to go back to a story to finish it or to continue on? This is a personal question because I struggle with this almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do it. Even I do all the time. For me, I think it's twofold. It's like one, I know the more I read, the better of a writer I'll become,
Mm,
which is isn't true for if you don't want to be a writer, then that doesn't really affect anyone else. But
right.
yeah, for me, it's the story. It's the characters more than anything else. It's not even really the story. Sometimes it's just like I want to know what actually happens to this character. So
Right.
if I'm not connected to a character, then it is a journey and more just to finish the book, because I don't like to leave a book just unread. I will finish the book even if I don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like a lot of authors, they kind of save everything up just for the end, for that send off, because I'm interested in just what that send off is, and uh, a lot of the books I read are just very mystery based, and like maybe like a whodunit kind of thing. So I want to know that. It's a curiosity thing about character and
Right.
story, that is on a personal level how I approach it. But yeah, I know reading isn't for everyone, and like I said, this might be. I'm sorry if I'm boring anyone right now.
It's totally cool because when people ask me about reading, I'm like, yeah, like I read comic books, like because it's like super easy. It's like, oh, I have like
Yeah,
maybe 15, 20 pages and I'm done. And then if I get like a trade issue, it's like, oh, like I have five comics in there, and it's like a very easy digestible story. But eventually I do want to get back into like actual reading because there's so much that can be said within the binds of a book that gets lost in a TV show or a movie or sometimes a game, just because the freedom of an author can be so much more than a freedom of like a game or a TV show in that sense, right? So it's actually great that you kind of touched on some recommendations, because eventually, somehow, some way, I will kind of start working out my brain again. That's currently been on vacation since March. So yeah, so no, I appreciate it. You say it's boring or whatever, but like, if there's anyone like me out there who kind of wants to jump back in, that hasn't been reading since high school or college, or sometime before that, this is like a great kind of jumping off point for myself and those people. So no, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. um
yeah. Comic books is reading. I'm a huge comic book reader too, so
okay,
uh,
okay. All right.
I consider it reading. I don't.
No, I mean, for sure. I'd love to kind of know, what is your favorite Marvel run then? Just on the topic of books, I'm gonna put you on the spot again, and maybe this is gonna rustle some jimmies out there. Totally fine.
All
I
right.
do it all the time. Um,
Okay.
but what is your favorite Marvel run? And then who is your favorite Marvel author as well?
Okay. I'm gonna be really weird.
Okay.
Well, this is not weird, actually. This is not weird. Um, my favorite run is just because this is the first thing I ever read
Okay.
when I was a kid. It was the very first Spider-Man run.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so way back in 1960 something or whatever.
Hmm.
I remember just like my parents. This is how it all started, by the way. My parents just came home with like a trunk full of comics, and I was like, "What is this?" And at that time, I was like, I don't know, like 5 or something.
Right.
Uh, it's like, "It's for you. Here you go." Like, I don't even think they even knew what it was, because my parents are, English is not. So I think they just saw like pretty pictures and were like, "Yeah, let's give it to our son."
Right.
So it was that first one, and just like the if this be my destiny part was just like, I know that wasn't like the very first one, but it was later. That's me reading it as a kid. I'm like, oh my god. Spoiler, not really spoilers. I mean, it happened so long ago, but like just thinking in my soul that Spider-Man was gonna die at like 5 years old. I'm like, this can't be. This is not it. But then like the way he went out, he didn't really go out, but the way he went out was just like something that I think still you know stays with me just because of how strong and how human he was during that time.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't just like, oh, I'm just gonna like deflect everything and I'm not gonna care about it. But it was very much I am human, and I think that I'm meeting my end. So let's see what else I can do. So
Right.
that really stuck with me, I guess.
No, that's a great answer. And then for the second part, do you have like a favorite author? So, personally, I'm a big fan of Jonathan Hickman.
Mm.
But that's, I mean, some people like him, some people don't. So is there any author that kind of speaks to you right now or no?
Right now, I'm actually reading My Life as a Weapon, so Matt Fraction.
Okay. All right.
I think it's. I mean, I know it's not a cop out answer. I swear to God, it's what I'm reading right now.
No, it's a totally fine answer. I know lots of people are fans of that run. So,
Yeah, it's different. That's what I like about it. It's not what I expected. I don't know what I expected with My Life as a Weapon. Everyone just kept telling me to read it, including people at Marvel. So I'm like, okay, let's read it, and it's very, again, like what I like. It's very human. It really humanizes Clint and just the struggles he goes through as a normal human being.
yep. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a certain really good author to just express that for a superhero story.
For sure.
More than
No, for sure. Okay, so one last question. I'm going to talk to you about the movie side of Marvel then. All right.
mm,
So you say you're a Spider-Man fan. So the Spider-Man rumors are all coming up now. You have different actors, different characters,
yeah,
multiverse this, multiverse that. So what are your thoughts and opinions on the rumored Spider-Man 3?
I love it. I want it all. I want just give it to me. I want it all.
Okay.
It's Yeah. I mean, it's like the whole Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield thing, and Tom Holland in one. I know there's some people don't want it, but I want it all. Just if it is the multiverse, which I mean at this point, who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
I don't actually have any Marvel insider information, by the way.
No, 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 no. Yeah, this is me
Put
asking
that out
you
there.
as a fan. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. This is fan Andy. This is not,
Andy.
yeah, this is not secret super insider with, CIA level knowledge. This is just you as a fan. I just want that
Yeah,
raw reaction.
yeah. No, I love it. When I first saw that, I'm like, yes, please. And I know I'm gonna like fanboy out if slash when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield appear. Uh, I don't know. How do you feel about it?
You know what? I will go down to the grave that I personally think that Andrew Garfield has been the best Spider-Man. I think,
Oh,
yeah, and people will kind of fight me on this, and that's totally fine.
I won't
But
fight you.
sorry.
I won't fight you. I think that's valid.
Okay, interesting response there. I think the raw emotion that Andrew portrays in his acting
Yeah.
gets me sucked into his portrayal. Now you can argue that like the story and the direction wasn't as good, but I think the raw emotion that Andrew can just exert just on a whim
Mm.
is unbelievable. When he's sad, I'm sad for him. Like I'm sad with him in a sense. Versus like I have nothing against Toby or Tom. And their portrayals are just fine, but I don't get sucked into their portrayals and their acting as much as I do Andrews, for example. I would love to have seen Andrew Garfield kind of finish that trilogy out and just kind of kind of have that capping off to his story. Now, if this
Yeah.
can kind of do it in a way, like you kind of get to see what happened to him after, it's like, oh, like this is what happened after, blah blah blah, like maybe like a few seconds or a few minutes or whatever. I'd be totally fine with that. In terms of the movie itself, I'm the same way that you are. Like, people have kind of expressed concern to me, like, oh, is this like too much? Like, Daredevil in it, and now it's like William Defoe is gonna be in it. Like, like people are like, when does a movie become too much? I'm like, sorry, did you forget about Endgame that just happened? Like, you know, there's not really a too much anymore. I don't think it's literally like they can put as many as they want in it, And then if it turns out bad, well, then that's the too much. But until that point, there's not a too much anymore, right? It's just a matter of, how far they take it. Um, so personally, I'm good with it. I want the crazy stuff. I want, balls to the wall, full action. Like I want, I
Hell yeah.
want, I want it. I want to go. Like one of the things that I tell people is like, I go to the movies to be entertained. I want to be in my seat. I want to have my popcorn. I just want to be glued to the screen for 2.5 hours, 3 hours,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Right. So when it comes to Spider-Man 3, I'm ready. Like I wish it was coming out yesterday so I could be I've already seen it, right? Like this we could have a totally different conversation now if we had already seen this movie
We're
because
good. I would like totally go off on just everything I loved and everything I didn't love. But yeah, I think I'm like you. I just entertain me. If I'm going to a movie, I'm not really looking at it in terms of a critical
yep.
mindset. I
Yep.
just want to watch a movie just to be entertained, and then that's all.
That's exactly it. You just want to go and have fun, right? Like I think at some point you just want to go and be entertained. You don't want to, and sometimes it's a very fine line, like some movies I go and I turn my brain off and somehow I still get bored, and then some
Mm.
movies I go and turn my brain off and I'm super entertained, and then. Have you seen Tenet yet? I don't know like what the theater situation was going on in where you are, but
I haven't. I really want to though. I
oh,
love
okay.
movies.
Because I was gonna say because there's some movies that I have to turn my brain on to understand, and that was Tenet. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but I literally had to start thinking throughout the movie because I was just like, oh
So
god, like
is it like kind of Inception like or and Memento like where I have to like actually sit there and think about everything that's going on? I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but I just want to know in advance.
yeah, no, I think you definitely have to pay attention. Like so, without spoiling, the movie kind of leads up to this crescendo of knowledge, right? So you kind of start
Okay.
off like not knowing, and then it kind of
Yeah.
puts the pieces together for you, but then you still kind of have to think about it at the end. It's kind of like Inception at the end of Inception, you're sitting there and you're like, what? Like, and it's sort of the same thing where you're just kind of sitting there, and then at the end you're like, oh, my brain's gonna hurt thinking about this on that drive home, right? So you will
Yeah.
kind of have to think about it, but it will put the pieces together for you in a way that makes sense. But yeah, no, it's the I don't know when it comes out on like digital release or whatever. But when it does, that's definitely something you should sit down and watch because I'd love to know your thoughts on it because it's a wild ride, man. That's a wild movie. It's probably my favorite non superhero movie that's come out in the last few years. To be honest with you,
Wow. Uh,
yeah,
wow. No, I'm excited. I love those kinds of movies where everything just comes together at the end. It's kind of like an Interstellar or something
yep,
where
yep. That's
yeah,
the
I'm
best way to say
ready.
it. No,
I love it.
you know what? When you watch it, you gotta let me know, man, because I'd
I
love to
will.
talk
I
to you
will.
about it.
I don't know when it's coming. I mean, theaters are not safe here. I mean,
Yep.
it's.
You are, yeah, because like because I watched it in the summer because we had stuff open up a little bit in the summer.
Okay.
So like I went in the summer and there was like 4 people in the theater with me. I was like, oh, this is sick. Like this is great. Like I had my popcorn in the seat beside me and I was like reaching over. I was like, wow, I have like no one in my row. This is wonderful, right? And then it's like now it's like, oh well, I could have no one in my row, but I can't get in the building anyway. So what's the point, right? So
Yeah.
it's crazy how things kind of take a turn like that in a lot of ways, right? So
I'll let you know what I think about it.
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. That I'm gonna find out when that comes out, just so I can mark it down that we can talk about Tenet. Um, Switching gears a little bit here. I kind of want to put the focus back on you a little bit and make you talk about yourself again. I'm so sorry. Um, but like I said earlier, one of the things that even myself, one of the things that a lot of people don't really know is we see the title community manager,
Mm.
but we don't really kind of know the day-to-day operations of a community manager or a community team, for example, right? Like you and the people you work with. So one of the first questions I kind of want to ask you is how did you get involved in community management, and then from there, you know, what made you want to work in gaming, or is it one and the same at that point?
Yeah, so it's probably one and the same. I knew I wanted to work in gaming ever since I could think about having a job. And it was something that, I guess my parents didn't really like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna get into gaming, and that's my dream. But they are very happy now with my career and everything, so that's a good thing. In terms of community management, so and I don't know if we're gonna like if you have questions later on about this, but
Okay.
there's like multiple types of community managers, and there's like no one way to do it. For me, like I'm gonna go back to it's always gonna go back to writing and storytelling.
Mhm.
Because that's just what I grew up with. That's what I loved. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, how can I use that in the game industry?
Yeah.
And so for me, I just needed to find first a way in the door. So I actually started off in QA. And from there, like thankfully, Perfect World took a chance on me and allowed me to get into something that I really want to do. And I told them like I'm really into writing. I love like all like even the journalism stuff, like the media, because I was doing like volunteer writing on the side just for like different websites. Uh, and I, weirdly enough, I mean I'm like not young at all. I probably look a lot younger than I am. But when I was growing up and everything with it, that's when the whole like social media boom just happened, and it was so intriguing to me, just the ability to everyone to connect all at once in an instant. That was amazing, and it was just something that I loved. So I told just like Perfect World, it's like, hey, is there a job out there that can put writing and maybe even some social media in there and maybe like some narrative and just like talking to people, connecting to people? They said, yeah, that's called community management. I was like, oh, okay.
Very very
And
easy answer for you.
apparently, like at that time, I actually had no idea. Uh, you don't really like think. I mean, I didn't think specifically of what job I wanted in the industry.
Mhm.
That's why I just let a company tell me with these skill sets, where should I go? So that's how I ended up in community, and thankfully, Perfect World did take that chance on me. I didn't know that part of a job of a community manager is to do live streams or to do these videos or to represent like the game or the brand in a public facing method. um, and that really surprised me because I just wasn't good at it. And it's like I think back maybe like what almost 6 years now. I had the most anxiety in the world for doing live streams and stuff just because I wasn't used to it. It didn't come naturally to me at all. And I remember way back then, and even like still now, I still have anxiety over things, but it, I would like literally not eat the entire day before I had to do a live stream because I was that nervous and it just didn't come naturally to me at all. So I wanted to get into the writing side of community management. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I decided to do. The live streaming thing and the stuff around that. I've learned to really like it. I've learned to be comfortable with it, although I still have like my little bouts of anxiety
Yep.
here and there. But yeah, I don't even remember what the question was. I'm just rambling right
No,
now.
no, please, no, no, no. So it's basically how you got involved. So you got involved through QA, and then you kind of
Yeah.
asked the question. Yeah, of course. No, 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 no. It's funny you mentioned, kind of the live stream aspect of everything, because that's sort of evolved over the last few years. Where now,
Yeah.
it used to be kind of a more writing based role, and then now, like you said, you're having to go on streams and videos and everything like that. So how has that kind of evolved in a lot of your day-to-day operations and day-to-day stuff from like thinking about at Perfect World and then Capcom and now Crystal Dynamics? Has that kind of been more pushed to the front, or is that kind of just an initiative that you've taken on in the roles that you've kind of been in?
That's like 1000% been pushed to the front.
Hmm.
It's when I first got started, it was very what we used to call community management, I guess, is just uh, um, moderating the forums, doing some of the writing, and before then, this was before like social media was a huge thing, and writing the social posts and everything, and also like talking with the community on like a more personal basis and delivering feedback back and forth from the developers to back to the community and vice versa, and just getting a good communication system going. And that is still a thing. That's still something I do. Um, but with the whole boom in streaming and content creators and influencers and all this stuff that did all kind of go into this whole community management bubble. And from there, it just created so many different roles that are amazing, and it has pushed community management and social media management in front center. And it's something that every single company takes extremely seriously now, which is great for all of us community managers because all we can ever ask for is respect, just because yeah, I mean, this is not me doing like lip service, but we are here for you guys, for players. That is our main job, to talk to you guys and to just make sure that you're taken care of. So the change in like community and social media just being so big to companies was a good thing for just gamers and everyone, world just in general.
Right. Okay, so I want to take a step back now, and I kind of want to talk about your time at Perfect World and Capcom, I believe, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to ask you is like, what are your biggest takeaways from those two companies, and how have they kind of shaped you, and how have you evolved from those points, and kind of used the lessons learned to kind of where you are now? Oh, uh oh.
One thing I'm thinking.
Oh, okay, no worries, no worries.
Okay. So takeaways. Hmm. Okay, I can think of a few.
Okay.
I swear I won't ramble.
No, please, it's okay.
What I mean, you can kind of tell how like, yeah, talking about myself. I'm like, oh, I don't want to bore
But then
anyone.
once you start getting started, it just keeps coming out,
I
man.
know, I know. Okay, so I will say from like a public point of view, I guess the biggest takeaway from just joining like any sort of AAA studio, which before then I didn't have any experience with, um, is just how many people are part of one project, one game.
Mm.
And I know like a lot of times people will say, like Square did this or like Capcom did this, and it's never just one person at all. It's so many people that have their own parts in making that game, and a lot that people don't see. There's our finance folks, there's our legal folks, there's our sales, digital, and then we have our whole developers uh, and even from there, environment artists, engineers, programmers, audio engineers. Uh, it is so many people making one game, and any decision that is made is never by one person. And because of that, I will tell everyone here that most people that are working on these games are on, like, we are on the player side at all times. It's just sometimes we might not be able to, like say it or whatever. Um, because we are all gamers ourselves, and that's a big thing. Was just like, wow, it's not just me that's playing games, and I'm a huge gamer, and that's why I decided to join the game industry. It's like almost every single person in all the companies that I worked at is we're all just full of gamers. So we know, uh, like the good things and the bad things and the things that we needed to do and to challenge ourselves. Uh, and yeah, it's a working huge thing that is way more complicated than anyone ever thinks it is.
Right.
I will
Yeah.
say my big takeaway.
No, I mean, yeah, no, that's a great answer. And kind of shifting gears from, kind of Capcom and Perfect World, what made you kind of want to work at Crystal Dynamics then?
So I loved working at Capcom. I love like the games. I'm a big fan of Capcom. I still am. Um, but so I worked with Marvel when I was at Capcom, when I was working on Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, so they actually brought me over to Crystal because we had such a good working relationship together, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Uh, Mostly because I was a huge fan of just Square Enix to begin with, and it's the Marvel connection is, I mean, everyone out there will tell you that I love everything Marvel, and I just wanted to continue working with Marvel and working on a Marvel game, which is published by Square Enix. I was like, I cannot pass this up. So I had to work at Crystal. I think in my mind, it was just the right step for me, and I had no idea how amazing Crystal is. It is everyone is super more than anything else is so devoted to their craft and the game that it makes working here just a treat. Like, and I'm not just saying these things. It is like the truth. So I'm just super happy to be at Crystal.
Oh, that's great to hear. One of the things I always find is when people are happy at where they're working, that's when they do their best work. Just even personally speaking, there's been places I've been super happy, and that's when they get the best of me. And then there's places where I'm not happy for whatever reason, and then you're unmotivated, you just don't care. You're like, yeah, whatever. I'm gonna just clock in, clock out, and whatever happens, between those two moments, that 8 hours. I mean, I'm just gonna ride the wave, so to speak, right? So, what I love to hear is when people are really passionate about like the work that they're doing, and then the people they're working with, because then you can trust that like they're going to put that enthusiasm and that energy into kind of what they're doing, right? So it's nice to hear that, because like as a player, as long as the community kind of hears that like the developers are like super passionate, you can understand that like they're just as big fans as we are, so they're going to put the work in and they're going to do their best, and it's in good hands at that point, right? Like that's really all you can ask for at that point, in my opinion anyways.
Yeah, and like we are very open with the fact that we definitely had issues with Avengers, but like we're so devoted to this. It's kind of like we will work weekends, we'll work 24/7 just because, and it's not because it's forced, it's because we want to, and that's like the difference there. So it's something that I mean, I do wish that some members of the team would get some sleep. That'd be nice. Just for everyone.
I was gonna say, do you not publicly name them, but you make sure you put them on blast here to say like, you guys better start sleeping some more.
Yeah, you guys better start sleeping more.
Okay,
Just
there you go.
For your own health and mental wellness.
Perfect.
It all comes from a good place, and we all know it. But yeah, it's a good thing, and it's a great thing that everyone is so devoted here at Crystal. So I say here, and I'm sitting here in my house, like like everyone works here.
Well, it's a proverbial here. That's all it is.
Yeah, there we go.
I got your back. Don't worry, man. So when you talk about like everyone's working super hard and everyone's so devoted, I'd love to kind of hear from you. In that community manager kind of role, what's like a normal day for you? Like a very, I won't say a light day, but there's, you're just kind of going through like a day. And then on the flip side, what would be like a super crazy busy day for you, whether that was kind of pre-COVID or during COVID? I'd love to kind of get insight into that kind of aspect of your job, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I think at this point it is just all crazy and busy right now. But every day is different for a community manager. I don't know what else I'm about to say, but for me, for a community manager, and that's just because of the multiple things that we do. Like, like I said, there's the scouring the internets for like issues that rise up, for reoccurring things, and just for anything, and just making sure to give that off and to notify the developers of like, hey, there's this issue. Is this a thing? And just to get those things into whatever build that we hope to fix it in. So that takes up a good portion of the time. And then we have the social media side. It's like social media strategy, social media campaigning, social media marketing, just like developing that whole content calendar of like what's actually going to go in our social channels, with the brand team, with the developers, with everything, and like when we're gonna announce things that we announce, because it's never one person's decision on when to announce something, but the community team, we do get to at least push the button of when something actually is out there. And I go into the Discord sometimes and I tease them like, hey, I'm about to push the, I can click the Kate Bishop deep dive right now. But I'm going to wait until what was it, like 8? When did it go out? That's 8
It was
a.m.
very,
right?
yeah, it was very early because I woke up and it literally everything was starting to come out, and I think I woke up super early for once in my life.
Yeah, I think it was 8 a.m. because I remember I'm not a morning person at all. So I'm like, oh my god, I woke up at like 6 a.m. just to make sure things were good, and I was like, what am I doing? What's that? Whatever. Uh, but yeah, so the community team, we do at least get to like push the buttons for like these decisions and everything. And then other than that, there is this moment which I'm mostly in charge of on the community side. There's the talking to people directly. Um, I actually watch Avenger streams all day at work, and it's not because it's part of work; it's because I actually enjoy it.
Mm.
Um, but a lot of the influencer and content creation stuff does come through us as well. But we do have an influencer team at Square, and that's kind of where another bubble of, I guess, community. And then a lot of it's writing too. So a lot of the copy and writing that you see, it does come from our team. We are basically the people that someone would go to for any sort of writing that is public. We don't write well. We don't like really write at all, like the in-game story or the narratives. That we have a separate team for that. But for anything else that's more, I guess you could say, publishing or marketing oriented, but not really, just anything that anyone sees does come from our team. So all of that into one. It depends on what day it is, but it is a lot of just whatever we need to focus on with those duties in mind, whether that's maybe working with other people, just not in Square, working with Marvel, working with anyone. It's very dependent on the day,
Oh,
basically.
okay. So, one of the things that, I hear a lot from other people is that you're like the most in front of the audience kind of community manager out of like everyone on the community team, right? So,
Yeah.
I'd love to give you the kind of like the chance to kind of shout out everyone out that you work with on the community team because I know, even for myself, there, in a lot of ways, you kind of are the face that people kind of associate with kind of the community. So, I'd love to kind of give you the opportunity, to shout out anyone else on the team for the work that they do. And, kind of they may not get the recognition for that work, just because they're not in front of the audience, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. So on the community team, I mean, I think like maybe some people on Reddit might at least know Megan.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, she's. I mean, anyone who like plays Tomb Raider or who's into that community will know Megan. She's amazing. So shout out to Megan. I don't know if she's gonna watch this. Who knows?
That's okay. That, you know
But if
what?
you do
Just,
watch Megan, you're amazing. um, so she does, a lot of like the. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna speak for anyone on their duties. So we'll just say shout out to Megan. Uh, on the team. We'll see. Now I'm like, do they even want to be shouted
no, I mean, if
out?
they don't want to, that's totally cool. I just know, a lot of the conversation centers around that you're the very upfront one, right? So I
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
it takes a village to kind of raise a child, so to speak, right? So I
it
didn't know,
does.
I
Okay.
didn't I didn't know if you wanted to kind of give some recognition to the people that kind of do the work that don't get recognized for it, just kind of giving you the opportunity at that point.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm like thinking out loud with that. I think they'll be okay. Well, I mean, okay. So Neha's pretty out there and pretty public. So Neha came to us from Square actually, where she was doing community for Final Fantasy 14. So she's joined our team now. She's been amazing. And then the last person, I know she doesn't really like to go by her full name, so I'll just go by her moniker, Layla.
Okay.
You know who you are. Uh, she's probably the newer member of our team, and she's been helping out, just like doing a lot of the scouring over the internet. Because with all the writing, and I actually write the patch notes myself. I mean, I don't like I'm not the only one, obviously, but I do that kind of like that final pass to make sure it's all like readable.
Mm.
Uh, so once maybe I'm doing that, maybe I'm doing a live stream or something, maybe I'm just talking to uh, like streamers on getting their feedback on like on Kate, something like that, and just having conversations with them. But she does an amazing job at just like looking all over the place for any issues and any sorts of suggestions even on what we can include in the game to give to the developers. So yeah, great community team. uh, and just overall, it's this is my first time working on a community team at a developer, and it's been great just seeing the what you start with and then we have now. And yeah, I might be the one that's like in front of the camera the most. I will say on record that that this was not really my intention, but it was because I had experience doing live streams at Capcom and at Perfect World that just it kind of just made sense, I guess you could
Right.
say.
Yeah. You kind
Especially
of just you fall into the role even though you're not looking for it, right? Like
yeah, yeah, exactly. And especially during a pandemic where, you have to have like the live stream technology ready and just able to do it. So it fell on me and I love it. It's great. I actually like talking to people. I like talking to you.
Thank you.
It's
I
it,
would
it
I would hope
makes
so.
oh I do. I'm about to say that. It's this is like part of the reason I love my job is because I can talk to like players and I love including developers and everything too because I feel like they have so much that they want to tell. They have so much that they want to say and share, just not even from like a game point of view, but from their experience working as a writer or an artist or something. And I am always developer first.
Hmm.
I guess in a weird technical sense, I don't know. I am a developer just because I work at a development studio, but I don't code or anything, so that doesn't make me one either. But uh, I will always put them first. That's why, like, I really, really try and get them out there because they deserve all the credit, they deserve all the respect, and I can't say anything like better about them because they're amazing. So
Yeah.
that's how I approach things for these like on camera stream things,
No,
I guess.
that's great because I know in the dev streams you've been talking about pulling other members of the team on to kind of talk about the game and themselves. I'm gonna ask you one question. Can you kind of talk about that? Is there any plans for any future streams or bringing on different members of the team?
Yeah, yeah. So next year, I do want to do like a segment in our maybe weekly streams now of just like meet the dev and just
Oh,
have them talk about what they do, have any questions, and just their overall experience working in the industry and anything that they want to talk about because I feel like it's super important. Um, it's that and then like a bunch of just they all want to do things. It's just uh, it's a pandemic, so
yep,
it's more difficult.
yep,
uh, but yeah, there's just a lot of things that need to happen. So yeah, I definitely want to start that more developers on stream, and I'm more than happy to step away from those and just be like a quote unquote stream producer, if you will, just to do things on the back end, just to give them more of a spotlight. And I do think I want to go that route, but we'll see, we'll see.
you can start adding like hosts to your resume. Then you can just be like the host. Then right, you just kind of ask them questions and then just let them kind of we'll essentially trade roles here. You'll kind of be my role, and then I get replaced, and then the developer is now your role, and it's like the
we'll,
evolution.
we'll take over your channel. Actually, we
All
can
right,
take it over.
well, all right. Well, you send the check my way, and we'll talk about it then.
Maybe not. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, okay, fair. So to kind of wrap up this part about community management, when we talk about you as the community manager for Avengers, what has been kind of your favorite moment or favorite moments up until kind of this point, kind of to cap off 2020, I guess.
Um, I will say every time I mean, when we did go to conventions and events, I guess, and this is like in 2019, so maybe
Yep.
not 2020. In 2019, one of my favorite parts was actually just going to those things and like talking to people just face to face, and getting their feedback and just hearing, what they have to say and everything. I know it's, I mean, a very vague answer, but I feel like um, that's always a highlight. And just in more recent times, uh, at least on a personal side, I loved just how much people loved Kate. uh, just because I know how much work was put into her and how much work was put into her, her kit,
Hmm.
her story, and everything. Yeah, she was delayed, and I mean, no developer ever really wants to delay things. Um, but we had to in her case, and I think for the better. Like literally waking up because she went out at I don't know what 7 was it 6 a.m. I don't remember, but it was really early.
It was early,
Uh,
man. It was early.
I think I woke up at like 4 a.m. that day. If that counts as waking up, I don't even know. Who knows? Uh, but just like being barely awake, and then people actually, saying that, hey, this is really good. Like this is amazing. I love it. That made my year, I guess you could say, because it is not easy just being a pandemic and just not seeing any of my coworkers ever for an entire year at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's a weird response, I guess. I don't know if that's like the question you were
No, I
asking.
mean that's a like no, that's a great answer because I mean like it you can answer the questions however you want them. I mean, the point is, I just want kind of to hear from your side, and that's really is. So if you feel like that's an adequate answer, I feel like that's an adequate answer, and that's great, man. Like that's all I can ask for is you kind of just tell me off the top of your head, because personally, when someone says something on top of their head, that's probably what they mean, right? Because when you start thinking about it, you're like, what do I say? Do I really say this? But if you just say it off the rip, I mean, that's the best I can, that's all I can hope for as me asking this question to you. So no, that's a great answer. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, what's your favorite moment?
My favorite moment has
Send it back
has
to you.
yeah, no, please. My favorite moment, I've kind of talked about this publicly on streams before. So for anyone who doesn't really know my background of like streaming and content creation, I used to do a lot of game hopping. So I'd play a game, play a game, play a game, play a game. And kind of what I found in the Avengers kind of community is I found a lot of people who I enjoy conversing with. I enjoy the community. At one point, I think I tweeted out the Avengers community feels like home, and maybe that's a very yeah, 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 I know. Um, and
Very sweet.
I mean, I try. But in essence, when you're a content creator and you're jumping from game to game to game, you don't really get to immerse yourself into the community that's been built around the game, for example. So whether it's people coming into my stream, or I'm tweeting at people, or people are tweeting at me, or I'm replying to YouTube comments, or I'm just on, the Discord kind of conversing with people, there's a feeling of kind of connectedness that is there that personally I felt like was missing from other communities or other games that I was participating in. So that's kind of my answer, and it's kind of what kind of draws me to kind of continue doing this, to continue making videos or streaming or connecting with people, is that everyone kind of wants the game to be the best game ever, right? Everyone wants it to be the end all be all of all the games, and everyone has that pure joy when they see something really cool, or they play something that's really cool, right? And you talk about Kate, and the feedback that I was getting from people that were playing Kate was this overwhelming kind of holy shit, this is, for a lack of a better term, fucking amazing. And and that's continued, right, as people are finding out more ways to do things with Kate, as we're finding different exotics to pair with different things, and like and even myself, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about, okay, I'm playing a melee Kate, like what can I do to kind of make her as broken as possible? And it's stuff like that that really kind of connects me with the other parts of the community, and really kind of like I guess emboldens me to kind of do more, and to kind of push that community farther in ways that I can, that I never really felt before elsewhere, I guess. So that's kind of been my favorite moment this far, and I hope 2021 is just more of the same, and it just continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. For example, and that will probably be the cheesiest thing I'll say in this video. So
No, give it to me. I love it. I love it.
I mean it's crazy, man, because like there's and it's almost like a job, you go from job to job and job, and then you get into a job, and maybe it's not the greatest job in the world, but it's the people you work with, or the people you converse with, that really kind of sells you on waking up in the morning and going to work. And in a lot of ways, I love the game, but I also love the people that the game has introduced me to. I love kind of just talking with those people, right? You kind of form those friendships around the game, and and I have the game to thank for that, right? Like the game has introduced me some people that I really enjoy conversing with. I really enjoy the friendship I have with them, whether we're memeing or playing the game or whatever. And without the game, you don't really get that, right? So, I mean, I hate the quote by Luke Smith. What was it like? The real end game is the friends we made along the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, but like, I hate to say he's right, man. I hate to say it. Like, the guy was
yeah.
right. Like, I mean, like, like he was right, I'm just, and it for me is like it just feels good, it's just good. I wake up, I check my Twitter, and I see some people tweeting Avengers, and it feels really good, and I really appreciate, there's been criticisms for the game, sure,
Of
but
course.
without the game, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in with the friends that I've made. So I mean, that's really it, I guess.
No, that's like literally part of the reason why I love this job to begin with is to hear these stories and just talk to people like you who, have built their own community within a community, and that is not easy. Let me tell you that. I think you know more than anyone else right now. It's not easy to build a community, around anything, or even a YouTube channel or a stream, and to just know that there are like, you know, people out there who care so much and who are building their own communities and everything. It's amazing. I think it's games in general, just not no not even just Avengers, but like video games in general is such a good way of like connecting people over shared interests, and that's that's all we can ever ask for, I guess. So bring on the cheese. I love it. I will probably be super cheesy with people too, because any sort of sentimental things that I'm all for.
It's that human connection, right? Like that's
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I think that's one of the things, like, this year more than ever, people crave, right? People want that human connection, because without seeing people, or reduced scene or whatever, you're looking for people to talk with, to connect with. And I think in a lot of ways, games have kind of been that anchor to that. And now, YouTube communities or stream communities have kind of, taken that to the next level. And then with Discord, for example, like in a lot of ways, we've kind of taken the need for connection, and we've kind of used these different tools to kind of supplement, what we're missing because of a pandemic, for example, right? And you know like I said, I can't think of a different game where I've kind of felt that before. It's just Avengers. And without totally going into cheese, I mean, I know I'm gonna get clowned on by some people for this, but obviously, personally, I just want to thank Crystal Dynamics for obviously doing what they've done and continue to do, because without that, where would I be right now? Probably sitting here watching Thursday night football, for example, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like, obviously, like the work you guys do is noticed and is appreciated, and there's people that are building friendships around the work that you're doing. And I hope that you guys know that, and kind of feel that, because as a player, that's really kind of the sticking point is, I can talk to you about all sorts of things with the game, but the game will get better. The game will improve. But one of the things that will always be there is the friendships that you kind of make throughout the life cycle of a game. And that's definitely one of the biggest things for me personally about Avengers, and kind of everything to do with everything about the game, I guess. And for lack of
Yeah,
a better term, right?
yeah, and that's part of the reason I'm here, just because I want to support all that. That's like everything that we could ever ask for, and we want to support you guys and everything. And you know, however we can, just like let us know. It's we're devoted to this, and we're devoted to you guys. So yeah, anything you need to say, I'm here. You have me on Discord now.
There you go. Exactly. I got an ear. I got an ear for all my cheesiness that I need to spill out.
Yeah,
Oh,
just don't see me at 4 a.m. or anything.
oh yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. Okay, don't hit you like, hey man, like I really got to talk about my feelings and everything. Okay, that's fair. That's fine. We're not on that level yet.
Not yet. Not
Okay.
4 a.m. Not yet. No, no,
Okay. All right. I'm a nice guy. Eventually, we might get there, but I
no.
won't push
Like
anything.
maybe like 19. That might be okay.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, man. I'll keep that in mind.
You can hit me up anytime, but Spawn at 4 a.m. I'll tell you that much.
That's
But
fair,
we're in the
man.
same time zone, anyways, I think, right?
Sorry?
We're in the same time zone, anyways, I think.
No, I'm 3 hours ahead of you, so that's 7 a.m. That's usually just about when I'm going to bed nowadays. I'm usually, I've totally reversed my hours, unfortunately. So I'm one of those guys who, 7 a.m. I'm crawling into bed, and I'm waking up at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I've totally done a number on my sleep schedule.
No, I would be the exact same way, to be honest.
If you
If
didn't have to
you
get
know,
up and work a job, you know.
yep, yep, I would be the exact same way. So I feel you. I feel you.
Okay, as long as I'm not alone, because there's some people, and they know who they are when they watch this, who will, tell me, John, you got to go to bed, and I'm like, well, I'm just playing one more round, like I just
One more.
exactly, like I'm only 27, I can live my life, guys, it's totally fine, but oh goodness. All right, so I know we're kind of coming up on the time here. So one of the things that I would love to give you the opportunity to talk about is Love Has No Labels. This was a partnership that was announced, I believe, last month, right? November, if I'm correct. Um, and what I would love to do is kind of give you the opportunity to talk about it. I wasn't too familiar with it. I've pulled up the link, but I would really love to give you the opportunity to talk about what prompted Crystal Dynamics to kind of engage in a partnership like this, and then what does it mean for Avengers and the community in your eyes, and then what can we do as a community to kind of help flourish this partnership that you guys have engaged in.
Yeah, so the love has no labels thing is super important to us just because if we're thinking about Avengers, it's a global game, and there's, just knowing that the Avengers themselves are just made up of like people of all sorts of backgrounds, and that's, everything, from, like our biggest thing is, like embrace your powers is our, our hashtag,
Right.
as you can say. And that like really prompted us to do this because it is about just embracing our powers. And Kamala, I love using this line as your differences are your greatest superpowers, uh, and that really stuck with us. And just knowing what the Avengers stand for and knowing what Marvel stands for, this was just something that we had to do because we do want to bring the world together, amidst all our differences and to just celebrate them, um, and just to use this Love Has No Labels platform to just talk, have conversations. It's not anything like that we want to stick in anyone's face, but it is to just talk, and more importantly to listen to other people and to listen to other people's stories and to hear other people's stories of how gaming has helped them be more confident in themselves and be more confident in the ability to be more open, to other people and different backgrounds and everything. So it was something that we as Crystal Dynamics ourselves, we pride ourselves in, is anything to do with like we have great diversity initiatives, and it's something that we feel super strongly about. So that there's more to come with that.
Okay.
I think we just announced that, and then there's that awesome video with it. Um, so yeah, I can't say too much else of what we're going to take that in the future, but
Okay.
it's something that's super super important to us and for the community in general. I mean, you hear me say this every time on live streams. It's like, where are you guys from?
Yep.
Because we love to just see like all the different countries, all the different kinds of people that are playing our game, and if some point down the line, we want to just open up these kinds of discussions that doesn't necessarily have to be about our game, but it can just be about us as gamers and us the community as gamers. And if we can use Avengers as a platform for that to just connect more people globally, we're totally down for it. So working as a community manager, I have to I have to work with people from all around the place with just crazy differences and everything. And it's something that I mean I personally feel strongly about because our world sometimes is not a great place, and anything that we can do to make it a better place, just from games, is something that I'm personally attached to. uh, yeah, I don't know if I made any sense in that, but I'm only like stuttering and everything because this is something that I really, really care about. And Yeah.
No, I mean, no, that's great. One of the things is I didn't know if there's anything that you want from the community or people to engage in, to kind of help this partnership or to kind of take another step forward with this partnership. Is this all kind of part of a plan that's going to kind of come together next year then, like you were saying, or?
There's more to come with it.
Okay.
I will say that, if the community wants to do something about it just on their own, yes, feel free to. Uh, that's something that we want, and that's something that it's great to do either way. To just get like streamers, content creators just talking about all of this. So there's that, but from a I guess a Avengers community manager standpoint.
Ooh, the official voice.
I know the official voice. I've developed an official voice already. Yeah, it it is something that I want to explore more. I will say that.
Okay. All right, cool.
And that whether that's like doing like a talk like this, where maybe we're just not only talking about the game, but about our different backgrounds and about everything that it's something that I am exploring. But that's in the new year.
In the new year. Okay, cool. So like I know you kind of have a meeting here, so I'd love to kind of give you the opportunity to kind of, as an outro, kind of plug everything that you do, whether it's your own personal stuff or anything where people can talk to you officially about Avengers. Please plug your stuff.
Okay, I'm also not good at doing this because
Oh, you'll learn very quickly. Don't worry.
Every time I need to plug something, I'm like, follow, when I was working on Street Fighter, follow Street Fighter, follow Avengers on whatever. I mean, yeah, do follow Avengers, everyone, please, please, please play Avengers on everything. We, man, okay. I feel so weird about plugging my own stuff. So
No,
what I'm just gonna do.
Okay.
I mean, I'm known as like Strum Slinger everywhere. Strum because of music. I'm big into music. And then Slinger because it's a web slinger. I love SpiderMan. So I put those two together. But yeah, Strum Slinger on pretty much everything. And I will plug this channel, Jonathan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I will retweet you if that means anything.
That means a lot actually. That's actually I appreciate that. That's official endorsement. I got to be on my best behavior now. Wow.
Maybe you can ping me at 4 a.m. and I might respond now.
Wow. That's crazy. I feel like I need to put on a suit and tie now for this. I got to dress up, I got to shave, I got to like
I'm all dressed up right now too. This is gotta like match me.
You're looking way more professional than I am. You'll see. I'm just hearing like a Marvel Comics t-shirt, man. I'm really trying my best.
Oh, really?
I'm literally just trying my best right now.
Hey, maybe I should have. Plenty of that, but no. Yeah, for me, it's all about you guys. So if you want to, please ping me so that I can spread all the love about everything about you guys. I talk to a lot of streamers, I talk to a lot of content creators, I talk to you. So anything I can do to give you guys more exposure, please let me know. That's my ping. That's my plug. There is talk to me so I can get more people talking about you guys. That's my job, and I feel very passionate about it, and that's what I want to do.
Perfect. And then one last thing, we have a dev stream tomorrow, correct?
We do, yeah. It's our last one. Just me and Phil. Nothing special.
Okay.
We're not going to make any announcements.
So Phil's not leaking anything like he was alluding to last week?
You better not. It's funny, like to Phil. Okay, so little like not really insider information, but if Phil was really saying things that he's not supposed to say, then we wouldn't be doing those streams. So,
but all right, I'm disappointed.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm like, okay.
I mean, I thought he was gonna start spoiling, everything. I thought I was gonna have 2021 plans all laid out tomorrow. Like, I'm super disappointed now. That's crazy. I was duped, man.
Not gonna get that tomorrow. It's just a dev stream.
Okay.
It's just to play with the devs, I guess you could say. And we want to do them weekly, but next year is seeming very busy. So we'll see, depending on Phil and my schedule and a bunch of other devs. But yeah, we do a stream tomorrow. I don't know when you're actually posting this, so my stream might have already passed. I don't know, but yeah, it's our last stream of the year, and we're just gonna hang out and talk.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's it for the talk with Andy. Once again, Andy, thank you for coming on and letting me kind of pick your brain for a little bit here. If you guys like this, please go follow Andy at Strumslinger. If you guys like more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time on Assemble. Stay safe, take care, take it easy, enjoy your holidays, and I will see you guys on the next video. All right. Peace out. Later.